Tasmania is Australia's most forested state, with nearly half the land area, or around 3.3 million hectares, covered by forests. These forests are managed to balance their unique environmental, cultural, social and economic values. Over 50% of Tasmania's forests are situated in reserves, including the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area, one of Australia's largest conservation areas. Around 20% of Tasmania's forests are designated state forest for timber production. This is called the Permanent Timber Production Zone, or PTPZ, and includes both native forest and plantations. The remaining approximately 30% of forests are found on private land and are also comprised of both native forest and plantations. Tasmania's forests serve many diverse purposes, including carbon storage, timber production, tourism, recreation, and even honey production. There are three main forest types involved in Tasmania's forest industry: native forest, hardwood plantation, and softwood plantation. Native forest is a mixed forest, generally dominated by eucalypt species. These are managed to mimic natural ecological processes and are grown on long rotations of 60 to 100 years. Native forest makes up the largest forest type in the state. Plantations are single-species forests that are managed more intensively over shorter rotations, typically between 20 to 60 years. These include hardwood plantations, such as eucalyptus, and softwood plantations, such as radiata pine. Each of these forest types offer unique benefits and produce different products. All forests in Tasmania are managed under the Forest Management System, which applies to all land tenures across the state, including both public and private land. This system is built on three key elements. First, the Permanent Native Forest Estate Policy, which prohibits broad-scale clearance and conversion of native forests and requires regeneration after harvest. Importantly, every tree harvested from native forest on PTPZ land is regenerated, ensuring it remains a renewable resource for generations to come. Second, the Comprehensive, Adequate and Representative, or CAR, reserve system, which protects forest conservation values through formal and informal reserves. And third, the Forest Practices System, which regulates forestry on all tenures and in all forest types. The system supports sustainable environmental, social and economic outcomes. To facilitate the forest management system, the following regulatory, policy and organisation bodies work together.
As the Resources Policy Branch, we take care of policy matters and government projects that relate to the resources industry. Part of our role is to provide advice to government on implementation of priority forestry projects, policy developments and the legislation and regulation of the industry. And we do this in a way that's responsive to emerging issues and community expectations.
The Forest Practices Authority, or the FPA, is the independent regulator of forest practices in Tasmania. Forest practices include the establishment of trees, the harvesting of timber, the clearing of land and the management of threatened native vegetation communities.
Sustainable Timber Tasmania manages around 12% of Tasmania's landmass. That's nearly 1 million hectares of forest managed on behalf of the Tasmanian community. We sustainably grow and harvest timber for local processing. We also care for biodiversity, protect our waterways and manage fire.
At Private Forest Tasmania, our role is to support, sustainably grow and develop the private forest industry across the state. We do this by working closely with landowners and growers, providing high-level guidance, information, resources and planning tools. We also help bring the experiences and perspectives of private growers back into government policy discussions.
Tasmania takes an active and adaptive approach to forest management to keep our forests healthy and to maintain balance between environmental, cultural, social and economic values.